we're going to get started with centering. I have wedged my clay already and made it into a ball. I'm going to throw it down onto the center of my bat. If you need to make a dot, you can do that to help you aim. If it's not in the right spot, scooch it over and give it a couple of pats to make sure that it's stuck down. And get my hands wet. Okay, so concrete arm. This is locked against your body, and you've got your wrist bent here, and you're going to be leaning in with the heel of your hand and wrapping your thumb over this top edge to try and get that clay to start to pay attention. You see how it's starting to listen to what I'm asking it to do? See how I just added water with my other hand over the top of there? So you can lean in on this clay, and you'll notice already that it's starting to pay attention. So now, first step, if you've got a particularly lumpy piece of clay, you can do your karate chop, which is just laying your right hand. You're going to be using this bone in your hand across the center of the clay, and it's going to line up with this thumb that is wrapped over this edge, because all of this pad on your thumb helps to keep this clay rounded over. And you're going to press down with both hands at the same time. You're leaning in on your concrete arm as well to keep it in center. I'm going to remove my hands and get them wet again. Concrete arm back in place. If you need to add more water, you can do that. Lean in. I'm going to take my right hand over here, and I'm going to be pulling the clay towards me this way. See how I'm using this part of my hand here? Then I'm going to begin to slide up. My concrete arm is still there, but see how it slid up too? And then karate chop back down. Line everything back up. Push down with both hands. I'm still leaning in and pressing down with this hand. You might have to do this a few times. I would say minimum 3 times. Cone it up. Karate chop it down. See, I'm not going too fast. Cone it up. And I'm not cutting in this way. I'm leaning in. This hand's going to be leaning in and coming up with me. See where the clay is on my hand? And karate chop back down. Okay, so once your clay is centered, you should have a patty that's about the size of the bottom of a coffee cup, maybe just a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to take my wooden rib. So remember I talked about this looking like half of a bowl, and this looks like the other half of a bowl. So we're going to be using this to compress the floor of your bowl, and also to give you that nice curve on the inside. So take this tool and dip it in the water. And you're going to hold it overhand. You put your thumb right in this hole, and overhand, and tuck your elbows into your body nice and tight so this doesn't get away from you. And you're not going to be going straight down into the clay. You're actually going to have it tipped away a little bit. So instead of straight down this way, I'm going to have it tipped away at the bottom. And if I stop my wheel, the place you're going to position this is between here and here. So right here. If you're too far over, you'll end up digging a hole. And if you're this way, you're going to end up with a mushroom in the middle of your clay. So overhand, overhand, tuck in your elbows, hang on for dear life, and press the clay. And it's going to take a little bit of power. So you're going to push straight down into the clay and lift up. You don't want to go down to the bat. Any clay here, just take this off and set it aside for reclaim. If you find you have any terrain down in the bottom, just take your sponge and use your fingers as a team to smooth that over, and that will go away. Okay, so now I'm ready for my left-handed pull. So you'll be using this technique on all the other pots you'll make in the future. That's why we practice this first. So you're going to use your fingers as a team, and your thumb is really going to be digging in on the outside. I'm always going to work in this quadrant on the wheel. I'll never be over here or sending 2 messages at the same time. My hand is always going to be here sending 1 message, and this hand is here for support. So I'm going to pinch with my fingers as a team, and this thumb is going to dig in on the outside. Pinch, and very slowly and steadily, you can see that line moving as I'm pulling. Slide up the wall of the pot, and just before you get to the rim, release your hands very gently. You can get your hands wet again. You can clean up your pot. I'm going to get my hands wet again and come in. I'm going to do another one. Inside bottom, all the way inside bottom here and outside bottom down here so that I can move a little more clay up. This outside hand is always in contact with my left hand here so that they can support each other. And I've got my elbows tucked into my body against my ribs. So as I'm doing this, same thing again, aim for concentric circles. So you're moving up just a tiny bit each time this wheel makes a revolution. So watch, you can see the concentric lines as I do this. So my thumb's digging in on the outside here, pinch, and very slowly
slide up the wall of the pot.
So here's your chance to do your finishing touches. So that would be compressing your rim either with your finger or your sponge, wiping out your water, using your rib to undercut the piece, and instead of going straight in from the side here, I'm going to tip it towards me a little bit so that as I undercut, it collects any clay. It kind of takes that little skirt of clay from around the bottom of the pot where it's stuck to the back away. And now I'm ready to take my pot off the wheel. So I'm going to splash some water, just make a little puddle right here. I'm going to take my wire tool. Now, I have an especially long wire tool that I can wrap around my fingers, and I can grab that water, just that little puddle right there, and drag it underneath my pot. I usually do it twice, and usually you'll see the pot slide. Okay, there you go. So you see what happened there where it started to slide on my wire? This is a problem. So if it's come off and now it's sliding around and it's sliding at me, I'm going to bring my thumbs together. I'm going to try and push this back a little bit so that you can see this. I'm going to bring my thumbs together like this and hold the wire, both wires with one hand like this, and lay my finger across both wires and pull very gently, and that will slide it out very flat from underneath the piece. And that's it. So now it should be released from the bat, and now I can either pick it up or I can put it onto a board covered in newspaper. And that's it.